LC Sun, and thank you for coming to hear my reading of Untamed, a beautiful nightmare story. Now, before we get started, I do want to warn you, Untamed has lots of triggers. So we're going to talk about what this book is about, but I do want to warn you, it does have a lot of triggers, and it's only for persons over 18 and not suggested for persons who have sensitivities to very sensitive topics like abuse, rape, violence, gore among fantasy creatures, and racism and misogyny. So if any of those things offend you, please know that the Untamed story of the Beautiful Nightmare World may not be for you. However, please always visit my website at www.lcsunbooks.com, and you can find my other books of the Beautiful Nightmare series that are all trigger-free, and they are mostly about paranormal romance and the other relationships that are not villainous story. But tonight, since we're sitting in a dark fantasy romance read, we're talking all things Untamed. So I'm excited to talk to you about this character, Chartreuse Grenoble. She started as one sentence in the first book of Beautiful Nightmare, book 1, and she developed into so much more. As a writer, you make an outline and you say, this person's the protagonist, this person's the antagonist, and then the stories, for me, begin to make shape and take a life of their own. And Chartreuse Grenoble was that one-liner that did it for me. Literally, I wrote her name, and then I had to pause and sit there and try to understand, who was this person that was screaming at me from the page? Who was this character? I wanted to know more about her. You get to learn a little bit about the beginnings of her life in the short story With Hearts Like Fire. This is a trigger-free story that you can read. It's only 99 cents on Amazon, and you can read it right now. And it's a short story. It was actually listed as a bestseller for the entire year of 2019 and half of 2020. So I'm very excited about With Hearts Like Fire, and I hope that you get an opportunity to read it. And With Hearts Like Fire is kind of like the prelude, if you will, to Untamed. And so Untamed picks up right where With Hearts Like Fire left off. So I'm going to share with you what Untamed is about, and hopefully that helps you. And matter of fact, I actually did a reading of With Hearts Like Fire last year at the Right Women's Book Fest. So this is the blurb, if you will, of Untamed. Even villains deserve happy endings. It's been 20 years since Chartreuse Grenoble witnessed not only the burning of her sister at the stake for claims of witchcraft, but the great and all-consuming fire of New Orleans, when the enigmatic, pure-blood Altrinian vampire, Dalcor Marchand, rescues her from fleeing her family's doomed state. She has no idea she is nothing more than a bartering tool for his wretched brother, Decausse. But she has other plans. She has no desire to be used or controlled. Forging her own dark alliances, Chartreuse defies not only the will of men, but the supernatural balance itself in her bloodthirsty quest to avenge what matters most, herself. This is, ladies and gentlemen, Chartreuse Grenoble of Untamed. Before I get into my favorite chapter, I wanted to take an opportunity to read the prologue to you so you can hear a little bit of Chartreuse's voice and how she felt about things after what happened during With Hearts Like Fire, and how she felt about her life at the present time before she became a villain, if you will. For 20 years, I waited, hoped. Sometimes I even prayed, to whom I am not quite assured. Still, I remained hopeful someone would rescue us from this torment, this hell. Even at the tender age of 7, I knew the moment Dalcor Marchand rescued my family and I from fire and our impending doom, the tragedy that had become our life was yet to be determined. I suppose I always knew the truth. And that truth is simply knowing the joy which once held my family state ended the day my father took his final breath. Nothing has truly been the same since that day. Always a feeble and weak-minded woman, my mother slumped into such a depression at his passing of which she never truly recovered. Thankfully, we had my eldest sister, Khalida, to serve as our matriarch, but we have her no more. Her zealous passions for the sciences and affections toward darkened-skinned men were her demise. With charges of witchcraft for alliances to both Ducos and the studies of Galileo, her doom was assuredly absolute. Watching my sister burn at the stake for a crime only alleged by fearful and impotent men kindled a fire in me that will never extinguish. Day by day, that fire strengthens. As my lingering hope for Dalport's pledge to return to us lessened, the inferno which was once my heart grew ablaze. With my mother's sunken state, her only recourse led her to make a brothel our new home. Landing the eye of a local banker, my second eldest sister, Victoria, took off within months after we escaped here from the Great Fire of 1788. Although young, I knew I had to do whatever I must to now be the caretaker of me and my youngest sister. And I have. Since my 16th birthday, it became the expectation of my mother and her lover, Monroe, that I would oblige the house rules. In fact, I have obliged the house rules with my eyes closed and mouth gagged for more times than I can count, so as to ensure my little sister Chalmette never needed to serve up anything more than bourbon at the bar. I alone endured the nightly stench of sweaty, beastly, disgusting men, if only to ensure she had a place to rest her head. That is why I do what I do now. I know with all confidence I will never allow my fate to become that of either Khalida or my half-hearted mother. I also know I will never forsake my family like my wretched sister Victoria. It is clear I cannot rely on the salvation of men, supernatural or otherwise. Yet, I am required to still play their game. I must do more than match their parry. I will subdue them. It is with such certainty that I also know the allegiance I now form is made from the pit which all darkness is derived. But I see no other way. I refuse to be either captive or pawn, and it is with this surety I declare I will come out on the other end of this darkness, both unscathed and untamed. So I'm going to progress a little bit into chapter 17, and read a part of the story when Chartreuse finally succumbs to her more darker sensibilities, and you get to learn a little bit more about her and at this time in her life. And this was actually a very fun part to create, a very dark part to create, but it was very fun. So I hope you enjoy this short reading. I'm just going to read a few paragraphs in chapter 17, in the opening of chapter 17. Darkness envelops me as I take in the thick black substance. It coats my throat as I do, clinging to my jaw, tongue, and every inch of my mouth, locking it shut. Slithering down my airway, it sucks oxygen from my lungs, suffocating me as I grab my neck, fearful my death is imminent. The two wraiths chant a haunting yet lyrical limerick over me as I writhe against the cold concrete floor, gasping for air. The patois of their sonnet is wickedly beautiful, lulling my mind to a deep enchantment while my body thrashes and convulses beneath their shadowy form. Misty meadows and cold-wrought springs live within these hollow beams. In the dark and buried deep, beneath the earth their secrets keep, until fate and fear with time and horrid quandary fill their mind, sing with sirens, snare and break, earth-brown men, their soul to take. Maiden kind you may subdue, yet only for measure of mortal feud. The bonding of sires and sirens must groom, but binding hearts will seal your doom. Return to dust those who sadden thy soul, end with surety and take them whole. Remove what and who grieves you most, and changeling no longer need you to host. My head throbs as the two wraiths harmoniously chant over me. Their words confound and intrigue me. While a deeper part of me seems to comprehend its meaning, I wrestle with the dark magic taking over me, and I am unable to speak. My mouth is sealed, whether it be the black liquid I ingested or the power they wield over me, I am unsure. All I know is whatever questions I had will have to wait. Stirring images of a golden white oak, lightning, and what appears to be the earth splitting in two in a time once past, fill my mind, haunting flashes of a tribe of beings banished to a dark abyss, while the golden white oak tree shimmers with a brilliance the dark beings cower in terror, stirring my heart. Feelings of pain, fear, and a sorrow too frightful to tell awake a melancholy within me I had not known. Now she sees, now she knows. The dark inside her forever grows. With new eyes you shall wake. The world before you, in blood and death you'll take. With a ceremonious wail and a cackling howl, the vice grip of the wraith's power frees its hold on me, and I am left once more on the cold floor, squirming in both pain and fear. Before I have a chance to understand what just happened to me, the door swings open and the sight of Dalcor's thick boot lands in my eyesight. Chartreuse, Dalcor begins, now kneeling beside me. Are you okay? Are you okay? That is the opening of chapter 17 of Untamed. I hope you enjoyed the reading of tonight of Untamed. You can again always visit me at www.lcsunbooks.com. You can find me right here on Facebook, on Instagram at author LC Sun, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. Listen, this book and all of the books in the Beautiful Nightmare series are on sale now on my website exclusively for U.S. and Canadian residents. You can get the book for only $15, a signed copy of the book, if you go to my website now. That sale does end on Sunday on October 10th, so please make sure that you log in now and catch that sale so that you can get it. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this is, I do want to read actually the dedication of the book. I dedicated this book to every woman who wondered whether she was worth it. You are. Don't let those who aren't willing to unearth your treasure make you discount the rare wonderfulness that is you. Dream well. This is LC Sun. Have a great night and a wonderful October. Stay untamed. You're worth it. Bye.